Hello everybody, Jim here to talk a little bit about the new concept ship in Star Citizen, the Hull series. There's been some controversy around this because the numbers they gave originally have changed. You know what, they'll change again. As a matter of fact, I already recorded this. I had a fairly big section with visual aids and numbers, and it's all useless now. So I've deleted it, I'm re-recording the intro, and I'm just going to show you the bit that I should have stuck to begin with, the flavor text. From the flavor text, you can usually find the intended role of any ship in this game, and I'm using it along with some visual aids to hopefully give you an idea of what you can expect from these things in the future, where they're going to end up, so to speak. And if you can get a general idea, you can decide whether or not you want to get one, how much you should spend, if they're even worth your time, or if it's something you'd even like to play with. So, without any further ado, let's move on to the pictures. This is an Aurora CL. It's a personal transport with a little bit of space in the back for you to sleep, and it's got some cargo space. Also, it looks goofy, but you kind of want it anyway. You could park this in front of your house and people wouldn't give you a hard time. This is the Hull A. Still a little bit on the slow side and not terribly maneuverable or well armed, but it hauls a little bit more cargo. Your buddies are probably going to call you to help them move if you own one of these, so be ready for that. You can go ahead and park it in front of your house, but you're going to feel kind of dumb if you do. This is a Freelancer, built MISC tough. You've got plenty of cargo space in the back, but it also does other things. This thing maybe has four-wheel drive, maybe it has a slightly bigger engine. This is something that you can drive to work, you can drive to the movies, you can carry personal stuff in it, or you could use it for a business. It's very, very versatile. And I think something that a lot of people would like to own. Also, you can park it in front of your house and nobody's going to give you too much of a hard time. Here's the Freelancer Max. This could also be used as a personal transport. You could own this for yourself as an individual who likes to go to the grocery store and drop the kids off at soccer, but you're a little bit less likely to. Usually this is for people with a little more money and a little less respect for their budget. But if you're using it for work, this is really good. You've got a lift kit, you've got four-wheel drive almost certainly, you've definitely got a bigger engine for more towing capacity, and you've got a much bigger cargo space. Also, you could probably park this in front of your house without pissing anybody off. Next we have the Constellation Taurus. This one's a little harder to pin down, and it took me a while to realize it's because we don't have armed marauders in America. We don't have people roaming Britain with machine guns intent on, tackling semi-trucks as they go down the road. This is not really something that we have today. Except maybe for a Brinks truck. I thought, it's lightly armed, it's got some armor, people sometimes try to rob them, but then it occurred to me that aren't all of these ships kind of like Brinks trucks, even the Hull ships, because they've got shields and weapons. So I tried to think, what could it really be? And the only thing I could come up with is fictional ships in a universe where people are trying to rob haulers. So, you have your Millennium Falcons, and you have Bessie, the Planet Express ship. But these aren't real-world examples. So the best I could do was go back in time a little bit, and what we've got is a light, fast, heavily armed sailing ship. I think this is probably the best description of the Taurus. You've got cannons, because you need to worry about honest-to-gosh, shiver me timbers, pirates. And you're quick, and you can haul a little bit of cargo. That's what the Taurus is. So don't think about Brinks truck when you think Taurus. Think something a little nastier, and I'm pretty sure the HMS Bounty could probably take a Brinks truck any day. Also, I don't recommend you park it in front of your house for obvious reasons. Moving on. Now we come to the Hull B, which is the Hull ship that I'm thinking about getting, mostly because of the lifetime insurance. This thing is a little easier to pin down in modern society. This is, a little bigger than the Constellation Taurus. It's actually a good bit bigger than the Constellation Taurus. I think when I adjust the numbers, it comes in at 2,400 instead of 1,900. But it's also lacking a lot of the niceties that you would get from the Taurus, like weapons. So this one is probably going to move pretty well in a straight line. It's going to be something that you want to keep to established trade routes. You don't want to be taking this one off-road. And if you park it in front of your house, I guarantee sooner rather than later, your neighbors will get royally pissed off. Next up, would be the Caterpillar, but we don't have a dollar amount on it, and mostly I just say all the same stuff I said for the Constellation Taurus, except with more cargo things mixed in. I will say that of all the ships, this one reminds me most of the Millennium Falcon because it has a vaguely Carillion feel in the concept art. And I will say that yes, I would absolutely park this in front of my house because it would be awesome.
Yeah!
Now we come to the Hull C, which is frankly way beyond, capacity-wise, anything else we've talked about. This is not something that your average person owns or wants to own. This is a dedicated cargo hauler. This is something that companies use on a regular basis, and huge companies have lots of them. Small companies might not even be able to afford one. You don't take this thing down little back roads. You keep this thing as to established trade routes, and God help you if you need to try to back the thing up. This thing is huge, and you don't park it in front of your house. You park it in front of a city block. With the Hull D, we're starting to get into the realm where the human brain has trouble conceiving exactly how much stuff is going to be moved by this vehicle. This is really, truly enormous, and your brain starts to have trouble understanding exactly how big that is because we don't ever operate on that scale. This is something that requires planning. It requires people to think ahead and prepare routes and make sure that there's a place for this thing to stop when it gets there. And if that doesn't happen, it's a disaster. It's a train wreck. So this one is something that is not run by small businesses. This one is something that is for big businesses. You can't even get this to your house. It's so big. Your house is off this thing's map. Your house is not something you can park in front of. It's something that you wouldn't even notice if you drove through it. Finally, we have the Hull E, and this is an order of magnitude larger. You don't have 100 containers, you have 1,000 or more. These things are huge. Where the Hull D was something that you had to plan to use, and you had to have established routes, and you had to know exactly where you were going, this one is something that foreign governments take note of when it arrives. And if you haven't begged their permission, they will turn you away. This is something that corporations are based around. This isn't something that you use lightly. This isn't something that can even go anywhere near your house. You don't park this thing. You just hope that it stops before you smash into a city. Well, I hope you guys found this entertaining, because as it turns out, not only have I been forced to remake the video because new information has come out in the last couple of days, Robert Space Industries has also put up an excellent Hull series Q&A on their website. I highly recommend you check that out, although it does make this video kind of superfluous. So, I had fun making it, I hope you had fun watching it, and I will see you guys next time.